Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us for this evening's webinar. My name is Liz Schroeder. I'm a senior lecturer here in the Department of Health Systems and Populations, which sits within the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at Macquarie University. I also hold a position as a senior research fellow in the Macquarie University Centre for the Health Economy. And I'm looking forward to introducing our exciting new Masters in Public Health program to you tonight. It will be starting in session or semester 1 of next year. Sorry about this, somehow it's not clicking through. Here we go. So before we continue to that, let's start with an introduction to the key elements of public health. Public health is about preventing disease, promoting health, and addressing health-related issues such as disaster relief in a globalized world. If you think about it, clinical medicine focuses primarily on the health of an individual, whereas public health looks at the health of a population. There are many facets to public health, and it encompasses a wide range of activities which we describe in this slide. For example, working to prevent infectious diseases, to promote and protect clean water, air and food, to prevent injuries, promote healthy behaviours, or undertake quality assurance and quality control. But an aspect probably important to you in your current stage of career planning is that people develop into public health practitioners from a vast array of skills and disciplines. Many hold undergraduate degrees from the sciences, the arts, social sciences, and even business backgrounds. Once skilled, they can forge interesting careers and lead fulfilling lives while making a big difference to the world that we live in. This touches on my own career path to some extent, because possibly, like or unlike some of you, I did not know what I wanted to do after high school. I can't really describe myself as having had a public health career pathway. My career has been more like a tapestry, where by turning the lens backwards, I can see the journey I have inadvertently taken. At the age of 19, I started a second gap year. It was one of the hardest but most rewarding experiences of my life. Without realizing it, this year set me up for a career in public health. I went to live in a very rural African community to work as a temporary foster parent and to teach in a local school. I lived just outside the main hospital compound there, and with my free time, I would connect with the doctors who taught me about the local health issues, things like infectious diseases or malaria, hand washing and sanitation issues. They were all very busy implementing public health initiatives into that community to combat both diseases of lifestyle and diseases of poverty. Through this, I realized the value of public health and the powerful impact of holistic approaches when working into health systems. So after that, I started a university degree and I studied my undergraduate degree in international development and economics. I went on to a master's in development economics and then to work in different capacities, such as in waterborne disease and sanitation, in microlending and microfinancing, and then research in child-headed households orphaned by HIV. From there I moved to the University of Oxford and I completed a doctorate in public health and in health economics. I worked in large-scale clinical trials in very much first-world settings, looking at issues such as prematurity, scanning and imaging, high-tech decision support software, screening programs, and other program evaluations, primarily looking at mother and child health. While living there, I teamed up with others to establish the European Office of an advocacy organisation to support the retention and recruitment of health workers working in sub-Saharan Africa. As part of this, we established an out-of-programme training year for European and UK doctors wanting to work in global health. My own diverse career path mirrors the checkered journey of many of our other lecturers. For example, Dr. Jane Williams. Jane worked in development projects in Southeast Asia and in the Pacific, for example, for USAID, before making a shift into public health, and thereon into public health ethics. Alexandra Bhatti is a physiotherapist by training. She worked clinically for 7 years and then went on to complete a master's in international public health. Since then, she's worked in policy and advisory roles for professional and peak bodies, both in the UK and in Australia. Our emeritus professor, Professor Peter Curson, has a broad range of interests. He publishes regularly on issues related to pandemics, climate change and human health, and the demographics of security, including bioterrorism. Professor Enrico Cuera is medically qualified and with a PhD in engineering. His work explores topics in patient safety informatics, consumer e-health, and translational bioinformatics. He is involved in leading fascinating research, such as analyzing Twitter feeds to focus and target immunization campaigns. So coming back to you and your career path, we aim to ensure that students will develop an in-depth knowledge and a skills-based education through an integrated curriculum approach. This means that if you were to do this Masters of Public Health program, what you would learn in the initial units would be built on and developed throughout your overall program. The course has been designed on the basis of extensive research and reflection about what public health education should look like in the 21st century, and it meets the growing demand for public health practitioners. Our unique interdisciplinary approach is responsive to student need, employer need, and Macquarie's strengths, such as our close ties with our on-campus hospital. It's also been designed to meet national and international competencies and global accreditation standards, such as alongside the universities of Harvard and North Carolina. In addition, the course has been designed to be flexible and tailored to students' own fields of interest through specialization into the second year. At present, although this might change and we might expand this, there are 5 specialization areas. They are environmental health, health law, ethics and policy, health leadership, global health, and finally a research pathway, which is direct entry into PhD studies. Some examples of people who undertake an MPH include doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, educators and lawyers. But this list is by no means exhaustive, and the MPH is open to anyone with a bachelor degree from any field. The MPH is useful for people thinking about moving into a completely different direction in their career or looking to build on what they've done previously. Examples of jobs in the field include program officers, health data analysts, project coordinators, epidemiologists, health promotion and advocacy roles, health leadership roles, and other global health roles, and of course, policy. By doing the course, there are opportunities to work anywhere in the world. Graduates will be equipped to work in government, non-government organizations, business, community settings, multilateral organizations, and other groups concerned with either health, human rights, indigenous issues, and international development. Examples of these can include Oxfam, the Red Cross, Ministry of Health, peak bodies such as the Cancer Council, professional bodies, humanitarian aid organizations such as Médecins Sans Frontières, research hubs like the George Institute, or international organizations such as the World Bank and the UN. But let's move on to the course itself. It's a 64 credit point postgraduate degree. The course offers flexibility to fit around students' needs and is available either on a full-time basis, which would take 2 years, or part-time over 4 years. We anticipate a mix of domestic and international students, and the course offers the flexibility to fit around student needs. So we offer the course in block sessions, with blocks in weeks 1, 7, and 13 of the semester being face-to-face, and then the learning in between is blended. We also recognize prior learning. The delivery of content will take place through a combination of online, blended, face-to-face, case-based, and experiential learning approaches. Our integrated approach also allows for a lot of reflective learning, and our assessments are varied and creative, including exams, practical activities, group projects, and a lot of workshops. Students come together for a capstone unit at the end of the program to provide them with an opportunity to integrate their knowledge and experience from across the whole program and to include their specializations in preparation for the next stage of their careers. Here we provide you with an overview of the course structure. You'll see it separated into Year 1 and Year 2. And in that Session 1 or Semester 1 and Session 2, these are 6 months each. The first year is comprised of 7 core units and 1 elective, and the second year of 7 elective units and then the capstone. If you have a look, for example, at Session 1, you'll see that we look at the foundations of public health, which looks at the history of public health, ethics underlying and underpinning public health, and health systems thinking, by example. We then move on to qualitative and quantitative methods, which is epidemiology and biostatistics, then the social and other determinants of health, and then health law, health economics, and policy. And so the course continues with more units and modules in Session 2, and then a move into specializations or research in the second year. The research specialization allows students to develop their own year-long research project in a field of their interest in the second year. It culminates in a thesis and, as we said before, is a direct pathway into PhD studies. The academic performance required here is slightly higher, and one needs an overall GPA of 5.5 out of 7 or 3 out of 4 in the old system, and there is access to reduced fees. Overall, one needs a grade point average of 2.5 out of 4 or 4.5 out of 7. One also needs a related bachelor or undergraduate degree, and for international students there are English language requirements, and we look at IELTS scores. Commonwealth supported places are available, and if you are interested, you can apply directly to Macquarie online. The applications opened in September and the course begins in February. We also recognise prior learning. So although the qualification is 2 years full-time, for someone with a bachelor degree in a relevant discipline, this can be reduced to 1.5 years full-time if the applicant has a bachelor degree in a relevant discipline plus 1 year relevant research experience. This essentially means that it would be in a healthcare setting or related to health. The program can also be reduced to 1.5 years full-time for an applicant with a bachelor degree and a relevant honours or a graduate diploma, and finally down to 1 year full-time if the applicant has a bachelor degree or equivalent and has completed a graduate diploma in public health. Here are some key dates for your information. As I said, the course starts at the end of February and Session 1 commences on the 29th, but I would particularly like to bring to your attention that the deadline for CSP applications closes tomorrow. So for those of you who are interested in applying, we would recommend that you think about doing that sooner than later. So this brings us to the end of the formal presentation about the Master's Programme. I'll now move on to answering some of the questions that have come to me in the course of this presentation. The first question I receive is, what are the qualifications or requirements to enroll in the course? If not only for the Master's in Public Health Programme, but also for the PhD degree. Well, I've spoken about the requirements and qualifications for the Master's Programme itself. If you are thinking about moving on to a PhD degree, that is dependent on your qualifications and the grades that you achieve during the pathway of the master's program. If you're considering undertaking this master's program with a research arm, then it would be a GPA of 5.5 out of 7. The next question that's come through is, sorry, I'll just move this across here. And all your questions have disappeared. Sorry, so let me go back. The next question that's come through is how many CSP places are available. I'm afraid I don't know that, but I do understand that the allocation of CSP places to Macquarie was fairly generous. And so this is something that we are looking at offering fairly soon. The next question is, do you provide distance learning? As I said, we provide a block-based learning, which means that in weeks 1, week 7, which is halfway through a semester, or session as it's now known, or week 13, those weeks are face-to-face, and students would need to be on campus for the entire week, because during those weeks we do a lot of workshopping and a lot of case-based learning. In the weeks in between, we primarily use online learning with face-to-face support. That means that we provide seminars and we provide drop-in sessions and we provide face-to-face contact for students who wish to engage themselves with that. If students don't want to in those weeks, then they could do a lot of that work and a lot of those activities online. That said, for students who are international, there is an expectation that they will have face-to-face connection at some stage every week. And so for those students, we don't provide a whole distance learning program. They will have to have some face-to-face interaction. The next question that's come through is, if I wish to tailor towards becoming an epidemiologist, what specialization would I need to do? My answer to that is that in all likelihood, in becoming an epidemiologist, you'd probably wish to take the research specialization and to do a research program in epidemiology, which we could support you in. That would mean that you would have a very generalist exposure to epidemiology in your first year, but that you would gain research-specific epidemiology skills in your second year. The next question is, what time tomorrow do the applications for CSP places close? I think the answer to that is the end of the day tomorrow, so midnight tomorrow is when the CSP applications close, so you do have time. The question after that was, what is the closing date for non-CSP places? I believe it is all the way through to the end of January. So you do have time, if you're wishing to think about this, to apply for a non-CSP place. The next question coming in is, I have a bachelor in family studies and I have permanent residence in Australia. Am I eligible to apply for this course? The answer to that is yes. You do have a bachelor degree and you are a permanent resident of Australia, so that would mean that you would be eligible to apply as a domestic applicant. Depending on whether you have any work experience within a healthcare setting, we could consider reducing the time that you would take to complete this master's program, but with the information that you've given me at present, you would be eligible for the full 2-year program. The next question that has come in is, are there any opportunities for internships? Is Macquarie associated with other health research institutes? We are not offering formal internships at the moment. However, that is because next year is the first year that we're offering this program. As we develop the program, there probably would be an opportunity, particularly in terms of the research aspect of the second year, for students to go and work or to go and undertake research somewhere. We are having a lot of discussion about the possibility of international collaboration ourselves with other countries such as India, and that might be of interest to potential applicants as well. The next question that has come through says, a slide has shown that one could become a public health lecturer. How can one do this? Well, the answer to that is probably to start with the Masters in Public Health program, so you've come to the right place. But most university lecturers move on to doing a PhD. It's part of a career pathway for work in a university. So it would be worth your while to consider pursuing a career all the way to PhD level if you wish to undertake research, lecturing, and other academic activities as part of your future career. The next question is, how well does the health leadership prepare you for roles in health management? Thank you for this question. It's a great one. We had a lot of discussion about this last week. We offer both courses in health management and health leadership. So I wouldn't necessarily say that health leadership prepares you for health management, because they are different subjects and different specialties and specializations, but we do offer both. So if that is something that you're interested in, then the leadership would develop your thinking around innovation and strategic leadership engagement, where and you would complement that with courses in health management as well. The next question that's come through is, what documentation is needed for an online application? I believe, having looked at some applications, that this would include an academic transcript, any references if you wish to have work experience included, any information about your residency status. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but those would probably be the key ones. The next question is, how many students do you accept per year? We don't currently have a cap on it, and as I say, we are starting this program next year, so we are currently looking at the numbers of students who are applying for the program, but we anticipate a small, well looked after cohort of around 40 students, possibly up to about 60, but we offer the opportunity for students to start in January as well as halfway through the year in July, August. So it might well be that we have smaller groups starting at a time, and both working across the different modules and units on offer. The next question that has come in is, I am asked about English proficiency requirements when I try to apply, but I have not yet done an IELTS. I'm afraid that if the application is asking that from you, then it will be required. You would have to go and sit and write an IELTS exam before you could complete the application. The next question is, can one become an environmental health officer after undergoing this course? Well, we do look at environmental health as part of public health and global health, but this course is not specifically designed towards environmental health. So I think that would depend on whether you feel that the subjects that we offer are well aligned to the career pathway that you intend to have in the future. The next question is, if you are accepted in January, could you defer to mid-year? Yes, you could, is the answer to that. And the next question, can I start this degree in semester 2 next year? And the answer to that is simple, yes, you can. So at this stage, these are all the questions that have come through, but I'm happy to wait for a few more if anybody has any final questions. right, another one has just come through. Would a BSc Honours in Nursing Sciences qualify as a relevant area of study for recognised prior learning? Yes, it would, is the answer to that. I do need to tell you that we look at RPL on a case-by-case basis. So what I'd recommend that you do, if you are interested, is send through an application or send through an email with all of your information in it. So an academic transcript, your GPA, both your qualification and your work experience, and we will respond directly back to you and tell you the credit that you would be offered as an RPL. There are some more questions coming through. If we choose to begin in semester 2 next year, are there more CSP places offered before that intake? I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that question, so feel free to email me and we will get back to you with that. These are all great questions. Please do feel free to keep them coming. We have some more time. There's another one that has just come through. What does this course have to offer someone with a background in environmental management? It's the way to think about this is, what would you like to do in the future? If you have environmental management and you wish to work with that and to develop your future career into public health, so related to the roles and the types of organizations that I described in the presentation, then a master's program in public health might be very relevant to you. Another question has just come through. Do you provide English classes as a condition while studying this course? We don't provide English classes as a condition, but we would require an English exam score for international students. So given that we offer intake for the course in both January and again in July, if you don't meet the English language criteria, you can always go and have your own English classes in the interim and return and complete the exam and apply again. So we would be open to that application process. Thank you for all these questions. There's another one that has just come through. Does it matter how long ago you completed your bachelor degree? Is there a 10-year limit? This is probably one of those questions that we might have to look at on a case-by-case basis. In principle, no, it doesn't. But we would also look at your work experience in the interim. But as a simple answer, no, we would not look at the 10-year limit. Another question has just come through. Does the quantitative and qualitative course cover biostatistics? Yes, there are 5 weeks of epidemiology, 5 weeks of biostatistics, and then some weeks looking at evidence-based practice and evidence-based research. So over the 12 weeks, that's what we will be covering in Quants and Quals. They are introductory, but there is an opportunity to do more advanced epidemiology and biostatistics in the second semester of the first year. Thank you for all the questions. There's another one that's just come through now. Are all of the 5 specializations designed to align with international accreditation standards? Are there some that align more readily than others? So my answer to that would be certainly the first year has been designed to align with it, and that's the core of an MPH. What we allow is, in addition to the core program, which is aligned, is a second year of specialization and the development of really deep and thorough understanding. So by the end of the first year of the core program, you will have a qualification that is aligned to international accreditation and international standards. As of today, incidentally, we've been liaising with the accreditation standards body in Australia and discussing some of the standards that they have for the courses as well. So this is something that we are updating and reviewing consistently. I've just had another question come in. Thank you. Is this course among the courses that helps one apply for permanent residency? I'm afraid that question is out with my understanding. I don't know how or what the guidelines are for applying for permanent residency, but I do know that this is a 2-year program, so that would be something you'd have to discuss with a visa agent. There's another question that's just come in. What job opportunities am I likely to have after completing this course? There are a lot of jobs available for people with a public health qualification. The challenge of a public health qualification is that it's very general and you look at many different aspects of public health and population health, which is why we have a second year focusing in on specializations into certain areas. And so many job roles would open up to you if you complete this course, but you would probably start to develop a sense in the first year of the types of areas and the types of jobs that you would be interested in, and that would lead you towards the specialization that you would want to undertake in the second year. There is another question that has just come through. It says, could you repeat the answer to the question regarding the English classes as a condition to studying the course? The answer to that is that there are no English classes that we do as part of this course or as a condition for the course. You would be required to submit your English proficiency, which is a 6.5 IELTS score. If you could not meet that, then you would need to go and have some English classes yourself and then to reapply. Thank you so much. Do feel free. We have a little bit more time, so if anybody else has any more questions, we're available to answer them. A question has just come up saying, can you please talk more about work placement opportunities? This is something that is under discussion. We have a hospital on campus. We also work very closely with the local health district in this area. And so we are discussing with them ways that we can interact and engage our students across this area. Macquarie also has close collaboration with a hospital in India, and so we're discussing what opportunities there are. At this present point in time, we certainly could not say that we could offer any work placement opportunities, but what we can say is that this is a developing conversation, and we will be starting off with developing students' research and other specializations, and as part of that there will be creative thinking about work placement opportunities. There's another question that's just come in. Are there placement requirements as part of the course subjects? No, there are no placement requirements as part of the course subjects. There are simply the different units and modules that you will learn from. But if you opt to do a research specialization, then as part of that research specialization, you would consider working alongside or even possibly being placed for a certain period of time with the researchers that you will be working with. The next question is, could we apply tomorrow for CSP places and submit our transcript at a later date. I am not part of the admissions team, but I would recommend that if you are waiting for an academic transcript, that you do make an initial application and just make a note that you're awaiting your academic transcript. I'm sure that's possible. The next question is it possible to book a tour of the facilities? Well, the course is run at Macquarie University, so we use different facilities across the university to deliver the program. So if you wished to have a look at the university, you would certainly be able to do that. But we don't have a standalone site where we are developing this program. The program is offered in different settings across the university. Thank you for these questions. There's another one that has come in. Would the research specialization qualify you for entry into a PhD, and would it provide the required skills? The answer to that is yes, absolutely, depending on your overall grades and marks throughout the MPH. But the research specialization starts with advanced research methods and advanced research skills training, and then one moves into the thesis. And from there, you think about the thesis. If you're interested in doing a PhD, you consider that that's part of your feasibility work or some of the preparatory work as you start to structure it. And so it's a very good and structured way of preparing for a PhD. We also work closely with the Masters of Research program that's being offered in the Faculty of Medicine. And they are using a similar approach. Coursework in the first year, moving into a research thesis and advanced research methods training in the second year, with the possibility of moving into a PhD in the years thereafter. There's another question that's just come through. Would you mind listing the 5 areas of study once again, please? I presume you mean the 5 areas of specialization. These are set to be expanded. I can say that. At the moment, they are environmental health, health law, ethics and policy, health leadership, global health, and the research pathway. And the research pathway will obviously be worked and developed around the specific areas of interest that you might have. We have a little under 10 minutes remaining, so feel free to send through any final questions that you might have. The next question is, are there many opportunities for graduates in Australia? I think the answer to that is yes. There are career pathways that require a master's program in public health. So particularly for medical doctors, for those who wish to go and work in international humanitarian organisations and those based in Australia, there is an expectation of an MPH. It would depend on what type of work you would wish to do, but as I mentioned, there are lots of peak bodies such as cancer councils or disease-specific areas that would value an MPH qualification. There are many other types of roles in health policy making across Australia where an MPH would be useful as well, also in Indigenous health or rural health as well. So there are lots of opportunities for working once one has an MPH. All right, okay. There is a question that's just come through that says, to clarify your answer to a previous question, you mentioned that there are health management courses that are available. Are these within the Master of Public Health? So the easy answer to that, or the simple answer, is yes, they are, because part of the second year, if you were interested in health leadership and health management, would be to look at the health management courses available in the university and to attend those. So part of the second year and of the development of the second year research specialisation is the availability of other courses in the university that you can participate in. So yes, you would be able to apply for the health management courses available in the university. The core of the Masters of the Public Health program is the first year, and in the second year, students work out how they wish to specialise, and then we have a menu of courses across the university that work towards health leadership and to include health management as well. The next question is, how long does it take to complete a PhD roughly? PhDs can be completed full-time or part-time, but in the main it's 3 years for a full-time PhD. The next question that's come in is, I'm considering a Masters of Research as well. How easy is it to change from that to coursework or vice versa? At Macquarie, the structure for these programs, these master's programs, are very similar. So they are coursework in the first year, and then a lot of them, like for the Masters of Research, are research thesis-based work in the second year. And so we will have an intake of both Masters of Research and Masters of Public Health applicants who wish to take our courses, but then they will move into their own areas of specialisation in the second year. So it is easy to change from coursework or across coursework in the first year. The next question is, what is the link to apply for this course? I'm afraid I don't have the link with me, but I'm sure if you go into Google and you look at Macquarie and the Public Health Master's Program, you will find that. Will these slides be available after the seminar? I think they will. I'll have to check with the administrative team who are overseeing this webinar. But you could certainly contact me directly if you'd like a copy. Well, I think this brings us to this webinar to an end. Thank you very, very much for attending, and we hope you enjoyed the presentation. Do feel free to contact us if you have any outstanding questions or things that you think about at a later stage. We'd also be grateful if you could complete this short survey we have for you now, just so that we could understand who the interested applicants might be. But otherwise, we wish you a very good evening. Thank you very much.